My fiancé said, "You're being dramatic. It's not cheating if it's only emotional." So I emotionally packed her things, emotionally blocked her family, and now she's emotionally bankrupt and very much alone. I wish I could say it started with a kiss or a secret, but it started with a sentence. Just one fucking sentence that burned a hole through my chest the moment it left her mouth. You're being dramatic. It's not cheating if it's only emotional. I didn't even yell, didn't throw anything, just stared at her across our kitchen island, blinking like I'd just taken a punch from someone I thought was on my team. Her name is Lena, or was, I guess. She's 28, works in behavioral health of all things. Real irony there. I'm 31, graphic designer, introverted as hell, and until recently, engaged to this woman I genuinely thought was my person. You know the kind of love that feels like you've both been through a storm and found the same shoreline? That's what it felt like with her, or what I thought it was. We met 3 years ago through a mutual friend at a game night. She beat everyone at Codenames and then challenged me to Mario Kart, where she absolutely wrecked me. I remember thinking, God, I hope she texts me tomorrow. She did. That first year was all late-night drives, thrift store dates, inside jokes, and planning a future I didn't even know I wanted until her. She was always touchy-feely, loved cuddling, loved long talks. Emotional intimacy was her thing. She used to say, I don't need grand gestures, just honesty and connection. Turns out, she wanted those things from everyone except me. The guy's name was Kyle, 30, works in the same building. Not even her direct coworker, he was just around. One of those guys who always has a band tee and a book of poetry on him like he's trying to impress the nearest art school dropout. Lena said he was sensitive, in tune, a good listener. I didn't think much of it at first. I trusted her. But then came the signs. The late texts she'd tilt her phone away to reply to. The quiet giggling when she read something on her screen. The way her voice shifted slightly when she talked about her day, like it was warmer when she mentioned him. The way she said his name like it tasted better than mine. Still, I didn't jump to conclusions. I asked, calmly, multiple times, is there something going on with Kyle? And every time she'd roll her eyes like I was accusing her of murder. God, why do you always assume the worst? You're being so insecure, he's just a friend. Jesus, have a little faith. So I tried. I wanted to be the guy who trusted his partner, not the paranoid asshole checking her texts or asking her to cut off friendships. But that trust felt like I was watching her walk into traffic and pretending everything was fine. The tipping point came on a Thursday night. I'd made dinner, chicken stir-fry, her favorite, and we were supposed to watch Barry, our show. But she was weirdly quiet, kept checking her phone, barely touched her plate. Then she just put down her fork, looked me dead in the eyes, and dropped the bomb. He told me he loved me today. The room didn't go quiet. I did. Everything else kept moving. The fridge humming, a car passing outside, but I just froze. And you said? I told him I loved him too, but not like that. Just emotionally, not physically. That's when she said the line. You're being dramatic. It's not cheating if it's only emotional. And in that moment, something in me snapped. Not loud, not messy, just a clean, surgical detachment like a switch flipping off. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I just stood up, walked to the bedroom, and started packing her shit. Quietly, methodically, like I was cleaning up after someone else's mess because, emotionally, she was already gone, and I was about to make sure she never came back. I started with the closet. I didn't touch any of her hangers. I just grabbed the armfuls of thrifted cardigans, soft blouses, and oversized hoodies that still smelled like her coconut shampoo, and dropped them into the duffel bag she used for weekend trips to her mom's. The whole time she was just standing in the doorway, watching me like I was the one who'd crossed a line. Are you serious right now? She finally asked, arms folded like she was lecturing a toddler. You're really going to throw everything away over some feelings? I didn't answer. I couldn't. My heart felt like it had cracked in slow motion, and now I was holding the splinters. So I focused on the task. Jewelry next. Her little wooden box with the tangled necklaces and that stupid moonstone ring she wore on her thumb, that went in a plastic bag. Then her books. Half a shelf's worth of dog-eared novels and journals she never let me read. Tossed them in a tote. Wow, she muttered. You're really doing this. And I looked up at her. Finally. Really looked. And all I saw was someone I didn't recognize. You fell in love with someone else, Lena, I said calmly. Whether you kissed him or not, you left me the moment you told him things you should have only ever said to me. She scoffed. It wasn't love. It was just connection. I needed someone to talk to. You've been so distant lately. Always working. Always tired. I didn't mean for it to go there. That part broke me a little. Because she wasn't wrong. I had been working late. I had been tired. I was trying to afford our wedding. Trying to save for a future I now realized she'd already started imagining with someone else. But I wasn't about to let her twist this. You could have talked to me, Lena. Not him. You could have told me you felt distant instead of investing all your emotion in someone outside of this relationship. She didn't have a response to that, just looked down at her bare feet on our hardwood floor, like suddenly this wasn't her home anymore. I moved faster after that. Bathroom, her skincare bottles, her toothbrush, the stupid loofah she insisted was essential, then the fridge. That part hurt the most. I opened the door and saw the jar of homemade pickles she made last week. I'd helped her. We joked the whole time. She'd kissed me with vinegar on her lips and said she couldn't wait to pickle through life with me. I almost laughed. Pickle through life. What a goddamn joke. I threw it in the trash. When I was done, I wheeled the suitcase to the front door, placed her bags beside it, and walked into the office to log into our streaming accounts. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+. Canceled or changed the passwords. Then I blocked her mom and sister on my phone. They loved to check in whenever Lena and I fought, and I wasn't about to play therapist to her family's group therapy circle. She was crying by then. Big, wet, mascara-streaked tears. You're seriously kicking me out? You're not even going to talk to me about this. No, I said, dead calm, because you already made your choice. You just didn't think I'd follow through on mine. Then I opened the door, nodded at her bags, and said, you said it wasn't cheating if it was emotional, right? So consider this an emotional eviction. And then I closed the door. Behind it, I heard her start to scream. It was a raw, broken kind of scream. Not the horror movie kind. No, this was worse. It was disbelief mixed with fury. Like she'd just realized the control she'd always held over me had finally slipped through her fingers. I sat on the floor with my back against the door, listening. She kicked it once. Hard. Then again. I flinched, but didn't move. You can't just shut me out, she shrieked from the other side. We've built a life together. You don't get to erase me like this. But here's the thing. I wasn't erasing her. I was excavating myself. Digging my way out from beneath the emotional wreckage she'd spent months pretending didn't exist. Then the tone shifted, just like I knew it would. Please, baby, her voice cracked. Can we just talk? I messed up. I know I did, but I didn't sleep with him. I swear on everything. Please don't do this. I closed my eyes. And for a second, the part of me that still loved her, the part that had memorized the freckle pattern on her shoulder and knew how she liked her tea just slightly burnt, almost gave in. But then I remembered the text I'd seen, the one that started this whole thing. I hadn't meant to see it. I was handing her the charger while she was in the bath and the screen lit up. Kyle, I wish I could wake up next to you every morning. And her response? Lena. Me too. So much it hurts. Yeah, that was the moment something inside me folded in on itself. I hadn't said anything right away. I just handed her the charger, walked out of the room, and sat in my car for 2 hours listening to the rain hit the windshield. She never knew I saw it. Until tonight, I got up, walked to the bedroom, and grabbed the ring box off the dresser, the one I'd kept hidden since I proposed like an idiot, thinking I'd surprise her later with a matching necklace she'd once mentioned loving. I took the necklace out, snapped it in half with my bare hands, and tossed it in the trash. Then I opened my laptop, Facebook, Instagram. Her old college roommate's account had pictures tagged from last week. Lena and Kyle at a poetry reading, her head on his shoulder. Not some vague emotional bond. Intimacy, physical or not, that was a betrayal that kissed her face in public while she was still wearing my ring. I posted one photo to my story. A photo of our shattered engagement photo, frame cracked and glass spiderwebbed from where I'd thrown it in the sink. Caption, emotional fidelity is still fidelity. She failed both. I didn't tag her, didn't name her, but her friends would see it. Her coworkers, her therapist maybe, the one who always told her to follow her truth. Maybe her truth could help her pack the rest of her shit. That night, I got 3 texts from her best friend, Amy. First one said, "What happened? Lena's blowing up my phone." Second one, "Are you okay?" That post was cold. Third one, "But honestly, she did cross a line." I told her Kyle was a problem. I didn't answer. I just took a melatonin, crawled into the cold bed that used to smell like her, and fell asleep to the sound of silence. No tears, no regrets, just silence, and the feeling of someone finally choosing themselves. The next morning, my doorbell rang at 6:12 a.m. I knew it was her before I looked. Only Lena would show up this early still wearing last night's eyeliner like war paint. I stayed in bed, heart racing, listening to her fumble with the door handle, even though I'd already changed the locks. Then came the pounding, fist against wood, over and over. "Adam, please," she yelled. "We can't end like this." Oh, we ended exactly like this, with her on the outside looking in, and me finally realizing I'd been on the outside of my own relationship for months. I got up, slow, pulled on a hoodie, and cracked the window just enough to make eye contact. Her mascara had streaked. Her hair was knotted. The confident, emotionally unavailable woman who told me, "You're being dramatic," had officially unspooled. "Go home, Lena," I said, voice deadpan. "There's nothing left here for you." She lost it. Lost it. Screaming, sobbing, calling me heartless, manipulative, gaslighting. That last one made me laugh, bitter and low. You emotionally cheated for 2 months, lied to my face. Let me plan a wedding while you flirted with your backup plan. But I'm the manipulator? That shut her up for maybe 3 seconds. Then she did what I should have seen coming. She called my mom. Now, my mom loves Lena. Thought she was the best thing that ever happened to me. She picked out our engagement cake, posted our couple photos like she was getting married. And of course, Lena knew exactly which buttons to press. Not even 10 minutes later, I get a call from my mom. Adam, she says, all disappointment and concern. Lena's at your house crying. What happened? What happened? I said. She had an emotional affair, told me it didn't count, and expected me to keep planning our future while she sent late-night poetry to another man. That's what happened. Silence. Then, like clockwork, are you sure you're not overreacting? That was it. The last straw. Mom, I said slowly, if Dad told another woman he loved her, wished he woke up beside her, and you found those texts, would you be overreacting if you kicked him out? She stammered. I hung up. Then I texted Lena, just one sentence. If emotional cheating isn't real, then neither is your place in my life. I blocked her. But Lena didn't go quietly. That night, her sister tagged me in a tweet. Some men can't handle strong women with emotions, so they throw them away instead of growing with them. Sad. Cute, I replied, just once, with a screenshot. The one of her message to Kyle. I wish I could wake up next to you every morning. The internet took care of the rest. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion. Her friend circle split. Some unfollowed me, others DM'd me saying they always thought something was off about her. My inbox blew up with strangers arguing about emotional monogamy and boundaries like it was a podcast panel. But the best part? Kyle blocked her. Someone sent me a screenshot from his Instagram the next day. He'd posted a story that just said, "Don't get caught in someone else's half-finished love story." She was dumped and unengaged, all within the same week. But I wasn't done. I had one final act of closure planned. And Reddit, I'll update you on exactly what went down. Let's just say I gave her a taste of the emotional performance she thought I was too dramatic for. Update incoming. And trust me, it's sweet. Update 1. Okay, wow. Did not expect this story to blow up the way it did. Y'all really showed up in the comments. Some of you had me laughing out loud. Emotionally bankrupt is wild. And others, honestly, you hit nerves I didn't know were still raw. So, thank you. Seriously. To the people who DM'd sharing your own stories of being gaslit into accepting emotional connections that crossed boundaries. Solidarity. We're not crazy. And to the person who said I should have filmed myself emotionally packing her bags while playing Irreplaceable by Beyoncé, iconic. I owe you a drink. Now, onto what happened next. After the whole social media implosion, Kyle ghosting her, her friend group fracturing, and my very public "I'm done," Lena spiraled hard. She tried calling from her work phone, then her mom's. Then she emailed me a literal essay titled "What Love Really Means." Spoiler, it was mostly deflecting and spiritual bypassing. But here's where it gets juicy. Remember how she always bragged about being emotionally evolved? How her job in behavioral health made her an expert in conflict resolution? Yeah, turns out her emotional affair didn't stay private at work. One of her coworkers, a friend of a friend, saw the drama unfold online and reported it to HR. Why? Because she'd been using work hours and a company phone to flirt with Kyle, who was also a client services contractor for the same company. Yup, conflict of interest, ethics violation, internal investigation. I didn't lift a finger. Just watched it all crumble like stale wedding cake. They didn't fire her yet, but she's been put on leave, pending review. And me? I'm good. I took the ring, melted it down at a local jeweler, and had it recast into a sleek little wolf pendant. Wear it as a reminder. No more begging for loyalty from people who treat boundaries like suggestions. Next chapter's coming soon, and let's just say, the final twist left her with a front row seat to everything she lost. Stay tuned. It happened on a Saturday, 2 weeks after the fallout. The weather was gray, which felt weirdly poetic. That was supposed to be our wedding day. Instead of tuxedos and vows, I woke up alone, made black coffee, and drove to the place where we were supposed to get married, just to see it, to make it real. The venue was closed, of course, but I parked across the street and stared at the ivy-covered entrance for a long time, imagining our friends and families arriving, the look on my dad's face, Lena walking down the aisle in that lace dress she never shut up about. Then I smiled, because I remembered what I had planned. See, I didn't just block Lena. I studied her. I learned how she operated, how she needed people to see her a certain way, enlightened, desired, emotionally mature, and most importantly, innocent. But I wasn't going to let her control the narrative anymore. So I made an event, a post-wedding reflection gathering. Sounds strange, right? But Lena and I had a lot of mutual friends. People who were confused about the breakup, who still hadn't heard my side. So I invited 15 of them. Small enough to keep it intimate, big enough to sting. I hosted it at the brewery where we had our first date. People showed up expecting a sad breakup circle. I greeted them with a smile, handed out drink tokens, and played a short photo slideshow on the screen above the bar. Not of Lena, of the messages, screenshots, her texts to Kyle, DMs from her friends warning her she was crossing lines. A video? Yep, of Lena at a mutual friend's birthday party, sitting outside with Kyle, hands touching, whispering under string lights. That same night she told me she was too tired to go out and just needed a quiet night to herself. I'd been sent that clip anonymously. Turns out, not everyone in her world was buying her emotional purity act. The room went quiet, like funeral quiet. Then I stood up and said, "This was who I was supposed to marry today. I thought you all deserved the truth before deciding whose side you were on." A couple people walked out. One girl burst into tears. Someone whispered, "Oh my God, she lied to all of us." And then I left. No mic drop, no dramatic goodbye. Just handed the bartender a 50, tipped extra, and walked into the parking lot like I hadn't just emotionally detonated a narcissist's social standing in under 30 minutes. By that night, Lena's phone was blowing up. She texted me, "How could you do this to me? This was so cruel." I replied, "Was it? Or was it just honest?" She didn't respond, but the fallout didn't stop there. One of her closest friends, a bridesmaid actually, sent me a message. "I'm sorry. I knew something was off. I just didn't want to believe it. She said you were controlling." I told her the truth. I wasn't controlling. I was the only one not being controlled. The next morning, I heard Lena had gone full meltdown, blocked half her friend list, deleted her Instagram, called in emotionally unfit to return to work. I guess when you weaponize emotions for so long, you forget what it feels like when they come back at you like a fucking freight train. And I was just getting started, and they say revenge is a dish best served cold. But honestly, mine was lukewarm, slow-cooked, and delivered straight to her ego like a casserole of humiliation. And it hit even harder because it didn't come from rage. It came from clarity. After the post-wedding reflection gathering, Lena went full scorched earth on anyone who didn't immediately bow to her victim narrative. Half her friends were gone. Her job was still on hold, thanks to the HR investigation. And I heard through the grapevine, yeah, some folks still keep me looped in, that Kyle never spoke to her again. I could have left it there. Could have taken the high road. But let's be honest, the high road is overrated when the low road has fireworks. So I planned one more act. Something symbolic. Something poetic. I emailed her parents. Now before you call that petty, hear me out. Her mom and dad adored me. We'd bonded. Her dad taught me how to grill ribs. Her mom used to text me soup recipes. And after the breakup, they were suspiciously quiet. Didn't reach out once. Not even a, "We're sorry it didn't work out." So I sent them the truth. A calm, direct email. No rage, no accusations. Just the facts. I told them what happened. That Lena had been emotionally involved with another man while planning a life with me. That I wasn't writing to punish her, but to give them the respect of transparency. I even attached a couple screenshots. No nudes. Relax. Just so they knew I wasn't inventing drama. That was it. I didn't ask for a response, just hit send and went about my day. 3 days later, I got a reply from her mom. Short, formal, cold. "Thank you for your honesty, Adam. We had no idea. I'm sorry this happened to you. I hope you find the happiness you deserve." And then, get this, her dad texted me directly. "If you ever want to grab a beer, door's always open." I didn't respond. That wasn't the point. The point was that she would find out. That the people who once saw her as a golden daughter now knew she was covered in rust. And I knew she did find out, because the next night, at 2:37 a.m., I got the final message from her. Long, rambling, borderline unhinged. She accused me of turning everyone against her, of twisting reality, of ruining her support system. But this line? "You didn't just break up with me, Adam. You assassinated me." Yeah, that one stuck with me. Because no, I didn't assassinate her. She wrote the story. I just read it out loud. And now, here she was, emotionally bankrupt, professionally stalled, socially burned, and watching the empire she built on harmless emotional honesty collapse under its own hypocrisy. And me? I was finally free, sleeping better, laughing harder, talking to someone new actually. No labels yet, but she listens when I speak and doesn't connect with other dudes while calling it therapy. I haven't told her about Lena. Not really. Just that I've had to rebuild. But I kept one thing from the relationship as a souvenir. Something I'd found in a drawer when I cleaned out her stuff. A half-written poem. One she never showed me, scrawled in pen on lined paper. "He loves me, but Kyle sees me." Yeah, Lena. And now, no one does. Update 2. So I wasn't planning to post again, but the messages haven't stopped. Some of y'all are asking for closure. Others are demanding to know what happened to Lena. And a surprising number of you wanted to know if I ever returned the casserole dish her mom gave us. I did not. It holds my spare change now. Well, buckle up. Lena reached out again last week. Not with rage this time. No essays, no accusations, just one photo. A selfie. She looked hollow. Dark circles, red eyes, no filter. Caption? You got everything you wanted. Are you happy now? I didn't respond, but it got me thinking about how this whole thing spiraled. How many of you said you'd been in the same boat? Gaslit, dismissed, emotionally wrung dry because it's not cheating unless there's sex. It is cheating. It's betrayal with a Wi-Fi connection and just enough plausible deniability to make you question your own gut. So yeah, I am happy now. Not because I ruined her, but because I reclaimed myself. I got out. Lena, if you're still watching, and let's be real, I know you are, here's your answer. I didn't destroy you. I just stopped covering for you. And the silence that followed? That was all you. Oh, and remember the wolf pendant I had made from our engagement ring? Gave it to my niece for her 18th birthday? Told her it stands for survival and never begging for love that asks you to shrink. Her eyes lit up. She got it. Closure? Yeah, I've got it. It's peace. It's quiet. It's not having to wonder who someone really loves when they say, I love you. And best of all, it's knowing she'll never find another version of me who waited, listened, forgave, and meant it. I hope Kyle was worth it. He sure made a great ghost. Programma ChatGPT Skazala. It's weird how grief shows up in echoes, like I'll be making coffee and suddenly remember the way she used to hum to herself when she poured the creamer. Or I'll drive past the dog park and instinctively reach for the leash we never used, because we never actually got that damn dog she begged for. And for a second, just a second, I miss her. But then the memory sharpens. I remember the silence between us at the dinner table while her phone buzzed beside her. The way she used to zone out mid-conversation, her eyes flicking to some notification she swore was just work stuff. The numbness of feeling like you're sleeping beside someone who already emotionally moved out. It's like I mourned her while she was still in the room, and now that she's gone, I finally feel alive. But she's not done haunting me. A week after her last message, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address, just my name, written in the handwriting I used to know better than my own. Inside was a letter. No apology, no ownership, just a 4-page front and back dissection of my flaws. How I was too emotionally reserved. How I didn't validate her needs. How Kyle made her feel seen. And she didn't mean to hurt me, but I left her no choice when I stopped making her feel special. That phrase made my stomach turn. Because I did make her feel special. I planned every birthday down to the hour. I hand-painted her bookshelf when she said she wanted a vintage vibe. I gave her the password to my heart and watched her type Kyle's name into it while smiling at me over pancakes. You want to know the part that really got me? She ended the letter with this. If you'd just fought for me a little harder, maybe I wouldn't have needed someone else. Read that again. Needed someone else, like I was a half-finished version of love. Like cheating was just her reaching for a full glass because mine wasn't overflowing fast enough. So I did what I should have done long ago. I took the letter, walked into the backyard, lit a match, and watched it burn. The flames curled the pages like they were ashamed to exist. I stood there in the dark, the smell of smoke on my skin, feeling like I was finally exorcising her from the last place she still lived, my head. And when it was nothing but ash, I didn't cry. I smiled. Because you can't fight for someone who's already chosen to be somewhere else. You can't love someone back into loyalty, and you definitely can't fix a person who uses your heart as a backup plan. But you can rise from it. And I was already halfway there. It hit me in the cereal aisle. I was reaching for a box of Cinnamon Life when I saw this couple, mid-30s, scruffy guy in a hoodie, woman in leggings with a messy bun, arguing over oat milk. But the way they fought, it was soft, teasing, familiar. She rolled her eyes. He kissed her temple mid-rant. I stood there with my box in hand, suddenly frozen by this quiet little lightning strike of envy. Because I remembered when that was us. Before Kyle. Before secrets. Before I became a mirror she didn't like her reflection in. I left the store without buying anything. And for a second, just one, I wondered if I'd ever get that again. The softness, the shared language, that invisible tether between two people who choose each other even when it's inconvenient. But then my phone buzzed. It was a message from the girl I've been seeing. Let's call her Mia. We're not official or anything. No grand gestures, no future talks yet. But last week, when I told her about Lena, really told her, like everything, she didn't flinch. She just said, that sounds like someone who used you as a mirror and hated what she saw. And I'd never felt so understood. So when that message popped up, it just said, hey, thinking of you? I smiled. And for the first time in months, it wasn't bittersweet, it was just good. Because Lena may have emotionally bankrupted herself, but I invested in the right thing. Boundaries, growth, honesty, peace. I still have the wolf pendant. Sometimes I catch myself holding it without realizing. It's heavy, but in the way that reminds you you've carried worse. And if she ever stumbles across this post, because let's be real, she probably has an alert on my name, I hope she reads every word. I hope she sees what happens when you mistake emotional intimacy for a free pass, when you label betrayal as growth, when you assume someone will stay just because you've given them almost enough to believe in. Lena said I was being dramatic. She said emotional cheating wasn't real. Well now, she's emotionally bankrupt, blocked by her own sister, ghosted by Kyle, jobless, friendless, and wandering the ruins of a life she set on fire with the match she swore she didn't light. And me? I'm emotionally paid in full. Every red flag she flew I folded into wings, and I flew the hell out.